Hello everybody, I'm Joe Bean Videos. My first Spirit Halloween animatronic was back in 2009. Now technically it wasn't one that I bought, but my grandma had went to Washington DC and there was a Spirit Halloween there, and she brought back 3 Halloween items from that store. They were Wild Witch, Hovering Ghost, and a Sunstar crawling zombie skeleton that crawled backwards. I loved. They were actually. I was kind of intimidated by them at first. They were different, you know. I started off with the floating ghosts and stuff, and those were a little bit scarier than those. The moaning of the hovering ghost, the eerie music of the witch rising up, was kind of creepy. And she was really tall, almost 7 feet, and it was really creepy to me. But unfortunately, the witch only lasted not even a day, and the motor and the rising died right away. So since they were purchased in Washington D.C., my grandma had shipped it back to the store, and we weren't able to get another one. But I still had the hovering ghost and the crawler. But then, I saw the videos online of the graveyard theme they had that year with the witch and all that stuff. And they kind of creeped me out at first. It was different. It was like they looked so eerie compared to the floating ghosts and everything else that I had prior to those. Their audios were a little more disturbing, but I got really fascinated by them. So I ended up getting the Rising Reaper with the pumpkin, the Evil Cauldron Witch, the Guardian of the Grave, the Tombstone Lifter. So I got the whole graveyard lineup, and that's kind of why I'm so fascinated with the graveyard theme, because that's kind of where it started. Also, the Rising from the Grave, Corpse, and Reaper from Menards, which were also sold at Spirit too. So I really got into it after getting all of those. Eventually, Deadlift Zombie as well. But the first ones that I actually purchased with my money was when I went to the Spirit Halloween for the first time in 2010. It was Demonica and Resurrection Mary, the Rolling Rat, the Floating Reaper Ghost with the hockey mask, and the Rising from the Grave Zombie. That was the first Spirit Hall that I ever did. And it was my very first time going into a Spirit Halloween. I have so many memories of that. That's why I feel like 2010 has always been kind of like my favorite year, because the memories of that first time and seeing my favorite props that I really wanted to buy for the first time in the store operating was so cool. When those props came out online in August that year of 2010, oh my God, I was so excited. Like, when I saw the videos of Demonica and Resurrection Mary, I could not wait to get those animatronics. I wanted them so bad. And we didn't even have a Spirit store yet. So when we saw that we were getting a Spirit store in 2010, when we drove by the mall and my sister saw the Spirit sign, I could not wait for them to open so I could buy those props. And when they finally did, oh my God, it was awesome. So yeah, my favorite Spirit years are still those classical years, 2010, 2013. I love Gruesome Granny. She's a top favorite as well. Demonica and Gruesome Granny, Resurrection Mary, those are like the top 3. Evil Cauldron Witch, 4, Gravedigger from 2011. I love all of those. The animation, the audios, oh my God. I think Spirit is headed a good direction now. They were pretty bumpy the last few years. But I think they know what their fans really want now. It's been obvious. They've taken surveys from us. We have made so many videos calling them out on the stuff that we didn't like, and they listened to that. We were like, people, they're still making a lot of clowns, but at the same time, the clowns still do sell because there's so many clown buyers still. There's a lot of people even in our area that just do clowns for haunted houses and stuff. They buy all the clown animatronics. So I understand why they won't stop doing clowns completely. But I think they are headed a better direction than what they have been. I'm so excited for this year's lineup. and I can't wait to see what's in the future either. Now with pneumatics coming out, most animatronics becoming servo now. You really unique jump scare props by Techie. Oh my god, Techie and SVI has had the most innovative animatronics. Like they get better all the time. SVI and Techie, they always make new creative ideas. Crazy Crate too. They have some really unique jump scare type stuff too, like Henry Hustle and stuff like that. Nightcrawler. Those are all really good. So I can't wait to see what those three companies do. Just those three alone within the next few years. You know, with them already. You know, Techie has always been really fast with making new creative stuff, but they've always been faulty in the past because they go too fast without making sure the mechanisms are ones that will work and last, but they're getting better now. So, yeah. Because back in the day, most of the stuff didn't last very long at all. I mean, a lot of times it still doesn't, but it was really bad back then. A lot of the techie plastic mechanisms that they used back then, they just weren't good. They did not hold up at all. Anyways, though, yes, I think Spirit is headed a good direction now. They know what the fans want. They're gonna give us some scary stuff. They're gonna give us some kid-friendly stuff still. They're gonna cater to both audiences. They're gonna cater to kids the most, but they're trying their best to do it, to cater to everybody though. So yeah, so I believe in them, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're gonna do. What's made me stick around with Spirit Halloween all these years? Well, number one, it just has to be the community and the fan base. I mean, it's nothing without it. Nothing is anything without a community or fan base, you know. I mean, I can't compare to you guys what the community was like in the early days, 2009, 10. It just wasn't like it was now. It was so small. You knew everybody back then. It was so tiny. There was only a handful of people that would actually buy the animatronics. They were unaffordable back then. They still are now. Well, being mostly $400, $300 now. But back then, $200 and $100 was really expensive, though, too. Average people just didn't buy these things. It wasn't normal back then, you know, for kids to want these things or anything like that. It wasn't normal. Again, it was just very few, very specific people. You knew they were the same customers that came to the store every year. You knew who they were. It was like very rare that there was somebody new. Now, in this YouTube community alone, it seems like there's like 100 new kids and people every single day posting videos of this stuff. Family channels that review this stuff. Kids were terrified of this shit back then. They wouldn't go near this stuff most of the time. Now it's like, even working at Spirit, you know, there is still the kids that scream and cry, but not as much like it was back then. I don't know. It's just kids like this stuff so much now. It's just so different. And I know they're toned down a lot now compared to what they were. A lot less bloody and gory and disturbing. But still, I mean, me as a kid was scared of all of these things that had a different face when I was like 2 or 3 years old. But like, there's 2 and 3-year-olds in the store all the time that smile and laugh at these things. Like with Monty last year, that's probably something that I would have been terrified of if I was a little kid, if that was around when I was a kid. There were kids absolutely loved it. They were drawn to it. It was not scary to them or intimidating. They found it so fascinating. Like I saw it was like every kid, whenever I asked what their favorite was, it was almost always Monty last year. So yeah, it's really changed a lot over the years. It's just a huge difference. I could go on forever about how different things are now versus back then. It's just not comparable, really. It's completely different. And I like it. I do. I really do like it because look at how huge the community is now. We meet so many new people every single year. Look at what Spirit does for us at their grand opening. They wouldn't do that if this is not where this has gone over the years. I mean, it's, you know, just a few years ago, there was no celebration at Spirit's flagship opening, but every year it just multiplies in the millions, and they do more and more every year. They celebrate it bigger every year. It's insane. I know I'm going to meet so many new people this year too. I always do. And that's what I love about working at Spirit Halloween. I love setting up the animatronics, but after that, all I really care about is who I meet in the season. I'm always waiting to meet new fans and stuff of my channel, because it doesn't happen as often as you think, really, around here anyway. So every year I just like meeting new people and just seeing people. Every year I help people start their collection too, working at Spirit Halloween. They start with nothing, and I'm like, they start collecting, and especially after introducing them to my channel, if they talk to me enough about it, that's happened so many times at my other job, where I would just talk to. There was a few kids that I told about. I seen them at Spirit Halloween. They didn't have any Halloween stuff before, but after I told them about the stuff and started talking to them and told them to come to my Halloween display, they started a collection too. So it's just, I love it. I love spreading this stuff. I love getting people involved in this collecting stuff. It's just so cool and fun when we all come together and do this. I love it. I'm so passionate about it. This stuff is expensive. It's so much work to set up, and it gets ruined all the time for me. But the people that it brings, the people that I meet, it ends up all being worth it. So, yeah, I don't think that's ever going to go away. It's always going to be the community and fandom that I love about Spirit Halloween. Anyways, I better stop now. I already went minutes over what I was supposed to in this video. It was only supposed to be 5 minutes max. I'm sure it'll be trimmed down, but thank you for having me be a part of this video. I hope it gets a lot of attention, because I really want to express all this stuff and how I feel about this. It really is cool to be a part of something like this, and it always does mean a lot to me as well when people say I kind of started it all, because when I first started doing videos of Halloween stuff, there was barely anybody on YouTube that had this stuff or did this stuff that I did, and just seeing like millions of people that are doing it now is crazy. So yeah, that's why I like to support everybody as best as I can in this community. So yeah, because I started small at one point. I was a little kid that found these things so fascinating, and people were always so nice and patient with me, and I like doing that for other people too. So yeah, it's great. It's a great community, really. I mean, there can be some bad people, but it's still really fun though. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, thank you again, and yeah.